Hello, awesome coders. Welcome back to another exciting Bitsbox lesson. In our previous class, we learned how to use some powerful coding commands. We use the fill to create backgrounds, the stamp to add characters, and the text to display words on the screen. And guess what? Today, we are going to make our apps look even more professional. Instead of having our characters and text appear anywhere on the screen, we are going to learn how to control exactly where they appear and how big or small they should be. That's right. Today, you start thinking like a real app designer. Let's dive in. Before we continue, let's remember what we learned in the previous lesson. Computer follows instruction called command. In Bitbox, commands are written using JavaScript syntax. So commands we've learned are the fill, the stamp, the text. Yes, these commands help us build our app screen. Today, we'll make them even more powerful using something called parameters. Can you see that with me? Parameters, yes. What are parameters? Imagine you order a pizza. The pizza is the main item, all right? But then you choose some extra things to it, like toppings, extra cheese, chicken, pepperoni, vegetables. Those extra details are the same thing what we call parameters. Those are the extra features you add to your object. In programming, parameters give extra instruction to a command. They tell the computer exactly how something should appear or behave. Parameters make our code more specific and more powerful. Amazing, right? I can't wait to dive in into today's lecture. So before we continue, before we start using parameters, we need to understand data types. We need to understand what we call data types. A data type simply means the kind of information we give to a computer. Today, we'll focus on two important data types, which are the strings and the numbers. Let's learn them one at a time. The strings made up of letters, words, numbers, or symbols enclosed in a quotation mark. Just like if you have hello inside a quotation mark, monkey in a quotation mark like this. This is a quotation mark of a word. It's called a strings or beach or anything. These are all strings. Notice something important. String always have quotation marks around them. It could be double quotation or single quotation, whichever of the two. So without quotation mark, the computer may be confused about what you're typing. So the next part, the number data types. Numbers are exactly what they should sound like. Examples are 1, 10, 50, 100, 500, and so much more. Unlike strings, numbers do not use quotation marks. When the computer sees a number, it understands that it's a value it can calculate or use for positioning. All right, so now let's combine these two data types together. So let's get things more exciting. We can combine strings and numbers inside one command. Let's look at an example. I'm going to write this stamp, which is a keyword. Then I want to put a stamp called desert sky. Desert sky. Close the quotation mark. Then now, I've done the field name. Now I want to add some parameters, like where should it be and what size. So look at, I'm going to write 3 numbers. I'm going to explain what those 3 numbers means. All right. Now I have this. So then I'm going to click on play. Let's see what we have. Now, can you see a stamp on the screen? So now let's look at what's after the other. So a desert sky is a string. Do you know why? Yes, because it has a quotation mark. 400 is a number, no quotation mark. 710 is a number. 200 is a number. The computer understands each part differently. Together, they will help us control the stamp. So let's look at this code. This is the keyword. This is the field name. And all these three in commas are the parameters, the extra details we add to this desert sky. All right, so what does the number mean? Let's solve the mystery. What those numbers actually do is that the first number controls the x position. Now, if you look at the screen at the top of your tablet, you see a number moving. That's the x position. And on the left-hand side, you see a number moving also. So left to right, where you want the object to be from left to right is the x position. While the y position is where you want your character to be from up and down. So do you understand that the first number is the x position, which controls the left and right? The second number is the y position, which controls the up and down. And the last number, which is the third number, is the size, which controls how big or small the character may appear. Now, let's understand what X position is all about. Imagine moving a character across the playground, moving it left and right. You are changing its X position. So if you want to change your character left and right, you change the X position, which is the first number. Small x values is the character towards the left. So the x starts from this left, then increase to the right. So if you place small values, you are going towards the left. But the bigger the value, it comes towards the right. You understand? So now, also for the y is controlling the up and down position of the character. Now, so if you are changing the y value, at the top, the number gets smaller. And at the bottom, the number gets bigger. What do I mean? So when you are making the y value a small number, the character will be at the near top. But if you are increasing the value of the y position, the character comes down. Now, the last one is the size. It controls how big or small your character could be. Now, let's do an example and let's position this, like you see on my screen. So I'm going to erase this. I want to add the parameters to my previous project. And add some parameters to the stamp here and also to the text here. So I want my stamp to be somewhere here. So when you put your mouse around that place, you get the values that you need. I can get my X to 106 and my Y, well, let's say 4. Let's type it now. So you always put a comma, 106, 106, 154. Then I want the size to be 250. Amazing. So now can you see that my character is here? If I want it to be somewhere here, my X is 612. Let's see. 612. Play. So can you see now? So I can control the movement of the character, but I'm going to leave it at the previous size. So I'll press Ctrl Z. All right. Now, so I've done the parameters for a stamp. Now for a text, now you can also do some parameters for the text. Like you can change the color, the font style, and also the size. You can also put a position for your character or your text. So let's look at this now. I want my character or my text to be somewhere here. So I want it to be at X50. And my Y. So I'm going to put some random values. So I have 50, comma 510. Then I want the size to be 184. That's the font size. Now, after you have done the X position, the Y position, and the size, so you can add some other things like the color of the text. Now, the colors are strings. They are in words, so they must be in strings. That's in quotation mark. So blue. Then I'm going to put the font style. Also is a string. I'm going to write Aladdin. So there are different fonts you can use right here. You can come to your assets. You have different fonts here you can experiment with. So there are a lot of fonts in your asset store. You can see a lot of some. This is my Aladdin. So I like this font. That is what I'm using for my project. Also, you have colors that you can also use for your project. Amazing. Right. Amazing. Now, if you play your work now, this is what you have. You can see the stamp at this side. I look at my text. I can reduce the size of the text if it's too big for me. Let's make it 80 and let's see what happens. You can see, so you can try different things, different message, different parameters to different objects. Now you can even add more than one parameters. You can add more than one parameters. Let's add a bird and see. Stamp and add a bird, BIRD. And I'll put it on location, let me say random number 590, 214, then the size 200. So let's see. So you can have multiple characters in your screen and just position them correctly, and also the size. Now you've learned how to add parameters to your commands. So let's look at some common mistakes. Let's avoid some common mistakes like forgetting the quotation mark is very important. Whenever you're writing a word, a name of an object, put it in a quotation mark. The next one is don't put quotation mark around numbers. Number does not need quotation mark. Now, also when you're writing every parameters, the comma is very important, not dot. The comma is very important. And also you have to look at the perfect order for your parameters. You must type your parameters in the correct order. You start with the X first, the Y, and the size. Same also here, the X, the Y, and the size. Then you can put the color and the font style. So all these are what you can see in the asset store. Now, so let's go to a challenge. So you can create a beach scene or a space scene, put the characters that are fitting those scenes, add a message, change the text color, change the font. Use everything you've learned today. Be creative. So let's have a recap. So today we learned what parameters are, what strings are, what numbers are, how to position stamps, how to resize objects, and finally how to change colors and fonts. Fantastic work we've done today. Give me a high five on the screen. All right. Yes. So you have taken another big step towards becoming a great programmer. Today, you learned how professional app designers control where things appear on the screen. In the next lesson, we'll continue making our apps even more interactive and exciting. Keep practicing, keep experimenting, and most importantly, keep coding.